Inventions help us grow. The great scholar Plato once said, necessity is the mother of inventions. So let's see some of the inventions which help mankind to grow better. Top inventions of mankind. Let's see the first 5 of them. The fifth position is the steam engine. Prior to the invention of the steam engine, most products were made by hand. Water wheels and draft animals provided the only industrial power available, which clearly had its limits. The Industrial Revolution, which is perhaps the greatest change over the shortest period of time in the history of civilization, was carried forward by the steam engine. The concept of using steam to power machines had been around for thousands of years, but Thomas Newcomen's creation in 1712 was the first to harness that power for useful work. In 1769, James Watt modified a Newcomen engine by adding a separate condenser, which vastly increased the steam engine's power and made it a far more practical way to do work. Newcomen's and Watt's engines actually used the vacuum of condensing steam to drive the pistons, not the pressure of the steam expansion. While the steam engine has been eclipsed by electric and internal combustion engines in the areas of transport and factory power, they are still incredibly important. Most power plants in the world actually generate electricity using steam turbines, whether the steam is heated by burning coal, natural gas, or a nuclear reactor. The fourth position is the automobiles. If the steam engine mobilized industry, the automobile mobilized people. While ideas for personal vehicles had been around for years, Carl Benz's 1885 motor wagon, powered an internal combustion engine of his own design, is widely considered the first automobile. Henry Ford's improvements in the production process and effective marketing brought the price and the desire of owning an automobile into the reach of most Americans. Europe soon followed. The automobile effect on commerce, society, and culture is hard to overestimate. Most of us can jump in our car or go wherever we want, whenever we want, effectively expanding the size of any community to the distance we are willing to drive to stop or visit friends. Our cities are largely designed and built around automobile access, with paved roads and parking lots taking up huge amounts of space and a big chunk of our government's budgets. The auto industry had fueled enormous economic growth worldwide, but it's also generated a lot of pollution. Here comes the top 3 of inventions, and the third position is the light bulb. If there's a common theme to this list, it's that no major invention came from a single stroke of a genius from a single inventor. Every invention is built by incrementally improving earlier designs, and the person usually associated with an invention is the first person to make it commercially viable. Such is the case with the light bulb. We immediately think of Thomas Edison as the electric light bulb inventor, but dozens of people were working on similar ideas in the 1870s. When Edison developed his incandescent bulb, Joseph Swan did similar work in Britain at that time, and eventually the two merged their ideas into a single company, Edison. The bulb itself worked by transmitting electricity through wire with high resistance known as a filament. The waste energy created by the resistance is expelled as heat and light. The glass bulb encases the filament in a vacuum or inert gas, preventing combustion. You might think the light bulb changed the world by allowing people to work at night or in dark places, but we already had relatively cheap and efficient gas lamps and other light sources at that time. It was actually the infrastructure that was built to provide electricity to every home and business that changed the world. Today, our world is filled with power devices that we can plug in. The second position is the computer. A computer is a machine that takes information in, is able to manipulate it in some way, and outputs new information. There is no single inventor of the modern computer, although the ideas of British mathematician Alan Turing are considered eminently influential in the field of computing. Mechanical computing devices were in existence in the 1800s, but electronic computers were invented in the 20th century. Computers are able to make complicated mathematical calculations at an incredible rate of speed. When they operate under instructions of skilled programmers, computers can accomplish amazing feats. Some high performance military aircraft would be able to fly without constant computerized adjustments to flight control surfaces. Computers performed the sequencing of the human genome. Let us put spacecraft into orbit, control medical testing equipment, and create the complex visual imagery used in films and video games. If we only examine these grandiose use of computers, we overlook how much we rely on them from day to day. Computers let us store vast amounts of information and retrieve a given piece of it almost instantly. Many of the things we take for granted in the world would not function without computers, from cars to power plants to phones. So, what is the number one question in inventions? It's exactly the internet. The internet, a network of computers covering the entire planet, allows people to access almost any information located anywhere in the world at any time. Its effect on business, communication, economy, entertainment, and even politics are profound. The internet may not have changed the world as much as the plow, but it's probably on par with the steam engine or automobile. DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, the research and development arm of the US military, created ARPANET in the late 1960s. This network of computers to computer connections was intended for military and academic research. Other computer networks began to cross the globe in the next few years. The internet is such a powerful invention that we have probably only begun to see the effects it will have on the world. The ability to diffuse and recombine information with such efficiency could accelerate the rate at which further world-changing inventions are created. At the same time, some fear that our ability to communicate, work, play, and do business via the internet breaks down our ties to local communities and causes us to become socially isolated. Like any inventions, the good or ill it accomplishes will come from how we choose to use it. Thank you, and thank you all for watching this video.